Damsels, welcome to another episode of Damsels After Dark. If you're new here, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Kristen.
And in our corner of the internet, we rant, review, obsess on, love on all things books.
Today we'll be reviewing the third book in the Veiled Kingdom series by Holly Rene called The Rivaled Crown.
And our episodes generally follow the same pattern where we do a quick synopsis of the book in the beginning, we give our individual ratings, we read some Goodreads reviews and ratings, and then at the end we do our favorite parts, which is our spoilers, where we talk about our hated and most loved parts.
If you want to follow along with us, our reading and review schedule will be linked in the description below.
Without further ado,
let's jump into it. I'm looking at our cast of characters for this book because I'm trying to remember who was all in this book. And I remembered while I was listening to us in our last episode that we are constantly saying these names wrong and different every time. Like one time it's Verena, one time it's Verena.
Yeah.
And it's not even close. It's I don't fucking know. Verena. So we're saying,
what did we say? Like we said
Verena.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Look, don't come for us for punctuation. For how would you say it? Pronunciation. There we go. That's the word. Yeah, don't come for us to anything but just to laugh at us. That's what you should be here for.
I mean, and then of course it's Dacre. It is Dacre, but we're calling it Dacre.
There's no way that says Dacre.
That's
sorry.
what she has the beginning of the book.
I believe it. But there's. I'm looking at how you're spelling this, and I was saying Daiquiri. I don't even know. Throwing everything out there.
There was a time where I was saying, I think it was Decree. I was
saying that as well.
Yeah,
because it looks like decree.
Decree, yeah. So I was calling it that when I first read this book, and it wasn't until I first read the book and then I went to the beginning of the book because I was when I was flipping through, I was like, oh, there's actually pronunciations, and then I was like, oh, I'm not saying Dacre.
Yeah, Dacre is weird. Though I do like when you suggested the day and night.
Yeah, until we get to the next book. Yeah. I was calling day for the longest time, but yeah, it's pretty funny.
Yeah, sorry, we're throwing everything out there. If it sounds remotely like Dacre, that's who we're talking about.
Yeah.
Daiquiri, decree, I don't know.
They're like, how many MMCs are in this book?
They all sound the same, but damn. Yeah, I don't know, guys. Or her real name, which I actually don't like her real name. I liked Naira.
I thought that was pretty.
Yeah, I like Naira. Verena, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we're just pronouncing it all sorts of fucking crazy ways.
All the rest of them, though, are good. Like Kai, Reed.
Yeah.
Ren. Aaron. The side characters have easy names, but she went a little wackadoodle with the main people's names, which is not what you want to do because now I'm fucking saying your main characters' names all wacky.
Also, I went online yesterday to look for because I didn't want to look up fan art until I finished the book. So I went on look for fan art. I can't find anything that I really like.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot, which is a shame because I would like to see some Daddy Day fan art, and even her because I have a hard time picturing
what she looks like.
Yeah, both of them actually. Mm-hmm. Also, don't forget their fae.
Yeah.
If you've forgotten already.
When I looked them up, every time I saw something, they had no fae ears. They look human. So I think everybody forgets too.
Yeah. Which is weird because it's not like it's being resaid a lot in other fantasy books, but for some reason it's I swear to God, it was said 2 times, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to just remember that the entire, I don't know. In my head, they are not fae. Because normally when you would be describing too, you would be talking about the shape of their ears, the elongated version of their ears, or their ethereal beauty. But none of that is mentioned here. It's just plain Jane. He's hot, she's beautiful.
I think the only thing they care about is that they're mates. I think that's
the only way.
Why.
Yes, that's the only way to tell that they're not human.
Yeah.
But they could literally be anything. I don't know.
But yeah, the series is over. It was just released, the 18th. So
yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, if you guys read it yet, but it was completely different from the other two, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And we'll get into that. But it's still fantasy romance. There's still a lot of sexual explicit content. There's war, there's violence. That's pretty much it for the content warnings.
Yeah.
There's really not a whole lot of content warnings triggers in here, so.
No. It was not. It wasn't needing much more than that.
No.
But another aside, Chris and I are still kind of sick, so if you hear us clearing throats or coughing or sniffling, just know The sickness is still upon us.
Yeah, it's holding us in a vice grip.
Yo, it's been like 4 weeks, 5 weeks,
yeah.
2 months. I don't even know. It's been a long time. I don't know a time when I was breathing freely. I've forgotten. It's been so fucking long.
Yeah, I kind of wish I didn't take it for granted when I was breathing freely.
It's only when you don't have it.
Yeah.
What's that song? I don't know. I'm not even going to try to think of it right now. I'm trying to remember this goddamn book. All right, so we can just jump in, I guess, now to the summary. So, essentially, the last book was the princess being hunted down. She gets captured she doesn't get captured. She gets found. And then her and Day are trying to escape. They make it to the docks. Of course, they did some stupid nonsense that got them caught in the first place at the docks.
Yeah.
But then they get caught at the docks and they're ripped away. And so we left book 2 with them being in 2 different places. She was taken by her dad and he was on the boat.
Yeah.
Because the king wanted him as far away from the kingdom as possible. And so when we get to this book, it's back to the dual POVs and they're apart from each other for a good chunk of this book. I don't think it's a spoiler to say they're going to reunite at some point.
No, you expect them to. I mean, come on.
So essentially you start the book with them on either side. He's trying to figure out a way to get out of his situation, which is just on a ship in the middle of the sea. And she's in the castle. She's being manipulated and used by her dad, of course, because that was his end goal. And yeah, he uses her. He attempts to use her. We learn some back history. We get some lore. We learn a little bit more about the magic. We learn a little bit more about Verena.
Yeah.
And who she is and what she is to this world. They reunite, and then it's essentially the war that you have been preparing for, kind of, for the last 2 books. And the rebels.
I was prepared for the war.
I know the rebels were gonna come and go into the castle. I mean, you're not really preparing for war, but I think it was kind of obvious that, like...
Yeah, that's what
they're coming to take the king away. So even if that was with the rebels behind you or not, but in this case, the rebels were on board with going to take the king. And so that's kind of what happens.
Yeah. I mean, without giving spoilers, but, like, the other 2 books didn't have a plot. And we talked about that. Everybody knows about that if they read the book. But, like, this one, it's not a spoiler, but it attempts at a plot. Because, like, I think about it, like, the 2 characters are not together. Mm-hmm. And it's not, like, an easy, like, oh, let me go find her in the woods like it was last book. It's, like, they are separated and they are not being, like, there's obstacles. So now they're really going to have to fight their way to get together. So because of that, there is some kind of plot. Mm-hmm. And, like we talked about before, like, we want a plot. But it's like, in my opinion, I don't think it's wise to put the plot in at the very last second.
Yeah.
It really, it does stuff to the book, so, which we'll discuss further. But yeah, just be prepared if you haven't read this book yet. There's a plot finally thrown into this book, and whether you like it or not, it's an obvious plot.
It is an obvious plot.
So, like, the plot is what we just discussed in the summary.
Yeah.
So.
And the magic system, I guess I couldn't even call it a magic system because I don't really fully understand it.
You're not the only one. Holy shit.
The magic is explored a little bit more. The ruin of the kingdom is explored a little bit more. But, yeah, like Kristen said, it's like you're trying to shove what should have been back content that we learned 2 books ago slowly slithered in. Now it's just like in your face in like one heap that you're just supposed to gargle down and accept. So it's really weird in that aspect. There's lots of, I think, questions, a lot of things that are hard to understand. But this is what happens when you shove your lore and your plot in the final book. So just know that that's what you're in for here. Not a whole lot of the spicy banter that possibly drew you in with the first 2 if you were like me, and that's why you were eating these books up, because if this book comes along and listen, I'm all for a good plot and a good lore, but goddamn, when you replace the shit that had me here and then add this fluff in, I mean, it's just kind of boop.
Yeah. Also, like, this book is a lot bigger than the other ones. This is like a 488-page book.
Double the size.
Like, definitely could have taken some of the material in this book and put it in the second book, which was like 80 pages. Yes. So, like, I don't know, like, 80 of those pages could have been put into the other one, or even like something, 50 pages, something. Like, all that content for the plot could have been introduced, or the lore, the behind backstory, like, could have been introduced into the second book. Like, I feel like I wasted a lot of time in this book because of that. So, like I said, we'll discuss that more in the spoiler section on why that is. But yeah, I guess we can go into our ratings.
Yeah. Do you want to go first?
I mean, I'm like, crazy thing is, I want to say I'm disappointed in this book. I am, but I gave it a higher rating than the last book, and the reason for that is because there's more to this book. There's more to this book, as in like substance wise. So I gave it a little bit more rating for that, but also, I don't know. I'll just discuss it. For the 3.5 out of 5, I gave it. So, like we already said, it has it's the opposite of the other books. This one is attempting a plot while the other ones didn't. This one has less of that witty banter that we really enjoyed in the first 2 books. But I did enjoy how Dacre and Rene try to just get their way back to each other in a way. I enjoyed that, but then once they get together, which without spoiling anything, I feel like it goes downhill from there. And Dacre is still himself in a way of speaking, but in a different level, because now he's not trying to so much win her, because in my opinion, he already won her in the second book, which we talked about with that one apology that the last right before she got kidnapped or whatever. So I don't feel like there's any need for that anymore. So because of that, he's a different type of MMC now in this book. So it starts to kind of go downhill in my opinion with that. But the magic system and the lore is finally taking place. It's very confusing and not quite understanding what the fuck is going on, but it's there. I mean, I don't know. It's really weird because there's this whole thing where you finally learn what kind of power she has and what it is with the king, why the king wants her so much. So that was kind of interesting. I did like it, but I just felt like it wasn't complete. I was there was something lacking there for me to understand why. I felt like I was just in the room watching it all go down and I wasn't quite understanding. The POV switches were still good. It was well written. She writes well. I just feel like it was just all out of fucking whack. There's also another person who comes back into play, which I was kind of wondering the whole time in all the other books. So I figured you guys probably might know who we're talking about if you've read it already. But there's a character who returns, which was great because I kind of wanted him to come back, but then I was just like, I don't know if I really want him to come back now. It's really weird in this book, but it did kind of fill a gap that I was questioning. And the ending was fine. The ending completed everything. I mean, everything was worked out and figured out and tied. I would say tied in a pretty bow. The bow was tied. I mean, it was rushed, in my opinion. It was a rushed. It was fuck, I have to go to a birthday party. I go get my present last minute, and then I gotta wrap it, put it in this bag. That's how I felt this story was written. It was rushed, in my opinion. And some parts were dragged on. Yes. I'm we're still talking about this. And even when it was dragged on, I still quite didn't understand. Yeah. So I'm you're dragging this out, and you're just saying the same thing, different words, and it still doesn't make sense to me. But overall, I mean, if you already liked the last 2, reading this just to complete it is just to complete it. I mean, the smut was still good. So I gave it 2 out of 5 because when it was written good. But let me explain how I feel about this. It was getting kind of boring. Yeah. But she still did a good job writing it. So and I'll have to I want to say it in the quote section because this is really hard for me to explain without giving quotes because I still like how she words the act in itself. Because I feel like the smut is good and she's talking, how she's describing it. It's really good. It's not this, sure, they might be doing the same position, but she's describing more of their intimacy that I did enjoy. I liked how she was describing not necessarily the act, but their feeling of their intimacy with each other. And that, in my opinion, was, sure, you're making this constant sex stuff. Cause that's the boring part, but it wasn't. That's what she was not aiming for. She was aiming for their intimacy with each other, and I thought that was a different take on it. Yeah. So it was kind of interesting, but I was still bored. Yeah, still bored. Yeah. But yeah, that's my take on it. Oh yeah, Dacre still had a filthy mouth, but it wasn't quite as filthy.
It was not. I was sad. Maybe that's why I took an extra point off.
There was a lot of parts where I was like, "Oh, he still kind of got it. I just wish it would continue." Yeah. But yeah, that's my rating.
I gave this one a 3. And to preface this, I gave the first 2 a 4. But for both of them, I think I gave 4.
Yeah, you
did. I was obsessed with the first 2. This one was just fucking boring. Everything that I loved about the first 2, I knew she was not going to be able to recapture that in this one because, I mean, it was his and her relationship with each other and the like. I guess I would call it an enemies to lovers. I guess you could. I don't really know, but I would say enemies.
I wouldn't say enemies to lovers this one. Not this one.
No, but you're trying to recapture this sort of banter back and forth, trying to recapture these feels in this book to like pique anybody's interest who was here because of that, and it just didn't work here. And I think she knew she couldn't do that here. I think she saw the reviews that said both of these 2 books previously did not have any plots. She was like, let me show you I can write plot.
Yeah.
And man, it was not well executed, I think, in my opinion. It was just like, again, I can't get over the fact that you waited until the last book to throw all of your plot and all of your information in here. I already alluded to this in the beginning, but I just want to reiterate it again because I think it's an important point, and I think that's what drags this book down, is that, like Kristen said, a lot of this stuff could have been intermingled with book 2, and in reality, this should have been a duology. You should have had... I think book 1 is pretty good, though you could have fed in a little bit more of the lore, what the fucking vessel was. Like,
oh my god.
You could have had something going on here, but she didn't. And then you didn't again in book 2. And then to just slam it all in here was just a mistake. I just cannot... One, I can't get over that. And 2, I can't just reiterate it enough that was a horrible mistake. Also, there were way too many reveals in this book. Like, and the problem is because you saved everything for the last book. Yeah. Now you're trying to reveal all these fucking things. And look, in my opinion, reveals need to be done, like sparingly and meaningfully. And when you throw 3, 4, 5 of them at me, I don't care anymore. At this point, it cheapens the story. I'm rolling my eyes. It was giving me fairy tale flashbacks.
That one scene was like every fucking reveal you could possibly. She just threw it in.
There
was like one scene where I was just like, "Are we gonna stop with this yet?" There's just so much.
Yeah, we get to the reveal. I'm not even gonna say what it is, but we get to a reveal about Day's mom. And I think that's
too
like,
much.
oh my, it was too much at that point. That was like the 3rd or 4th one in the story.
And it was overload.
It was overload and it didn't make any sense. And it feels like you're just trying to slam more things in here to make it interesting or to show this betrayal. It just, there should have been like 1 or 2. That should have been the main one. I shouldn't be understanding or revealing who she is or who tried to save her or no. That should have been book 1 or book 2. I don't know. I did not like that. There are a couple things that Holly added into this book, which I'll go into greater detail in my spoiler section or in our talked about section, that I don't think that she really needed, and she spent a good time flushing them out, and I just didn't give a shit. Like, you don't need this here. This is just nonsense.
We weren't even here for that in the first place.
I know, and it felt like a side quest that she was giving me, and I wanted a side quest, but not like bullshit side quests, and that's kind of what this felt like. The FMC had like one good moment in this book where I was like, oh, this is good. I like this. But the rest of her was really bland. Yeah. She was very boring. She didn't do a whole lot of anything at any point except for one part in this book, maybe the end. But like you knew it was going to happen at the end, so it wasn't a big surprise. But she did one thing that I thought she was a pretty big badass. But other than this, like I don't really care about this FMC. She's not going to make a top list of mine. No. I liked Ren way more. Yeah. I want a story about Ren. Ren is badass. She's doing all kinds of crazy shit. She's throwing fucking daggers at people. Like, I love her so much. I want her story. I don't like Verena very much at all. Let's see. I will end this on a positive note and say that Daddy Day was still doing it for me. Yeah. Even though it switched and he wasn't quite as like... Because, of course, he's not being mean to our FMC anymore. In fact, our FMC has been through some shit, so he's being really warm. He's being really comforting towards her. But his actions towards everybody else is what I really liked. Because he was taking nobody's shit. Yep. He was essentially, and reiterated a lot, that I will kill everybody. I will burn everything. I don't give a shit. If you look at her wrong, if you say the wrong thing about her, like, he's up in your face. He's ready to go. And so that was all fine and dandy. I really like that about him. And I like that he kept this personality, that he was this, like, asshole who didn't give a shit. It just wasn't directed at our FMC. It was directed at everybody else, but it's still hot in my opinion. Yeah. I will say, I give the same score for not smuttiness, spiciness as Kristen. I did give it a 2. It was not, but I only give it a 2 not because I liked the spice, but I'm giving it a 2 because it was like low. It was like 2 scenes, maybe 2.5 at the end if you want to count the end one, but it was not hitting quite the same, and I was really bored because the first 2 books were like mind blown. It was getting steamy up in the room with these scenes, and these other ones were like, it's like they were making love in the other ones, and they were fucking in the first ones, and I'm just sitting here like, that's great that y'all are making love. I feel like I shouldn't be here. This is too intimate for me.
It is the intimacy, yeah.
I didn't really care for all that. I mean, I can appreciate that she was trying to like show me how much they're solely connected, and that's fucking great and all. But I don't really want to read that. I don't care. Bring me back to fucking book 2. Bedroom scene at the very end, like give me that vibe. Cave scene book 1, give me those vibes. Don't care about these. Did not care.
Yeah.
So yeah, just not as good as the first 2, but I'm also not surprised a little bit because there was no way she was gonna ride the same wave. I wanted to give her the benefit of the doubt, but
I knew it wasn't going to happen, too.
There was no way.
Yeah, I had a feeling. I think we even talked about it in our last episode. We're just like, yeah, we don't see how this is going to work out in book 3.
No.
And we even kind of, like, foreseen the idea that she was going to try to write plot in this book. And we're just like, we don't know if that's going to work.
Yeah, and nope, it did not work.
Yeah, I was, even though I knew all those things, I was still disappointed.
Yeah, I was still disappointed because I really actually did have hope. Because I liked your cast of characters. I liked this idea that you had of this princess and this rebel, like even though it's really cliche and even though it's overdone, I still like it. I like this trope.
Yeah, I do too.
I'm here for it, but you just can't execute it this way. Also, I will say another thing that I don't like, which probably drags down, is I hate fated mates.
You've always said that though.
Yeah, so and then and then I had to have a whole scene about bonds connecting, and I just don't care. I'm just over it.
I don't really give 2 shits about fated mates. I get you want to throw it in your story and you want to be like whatever for your fantasy worlds, whatever. I just don't care either way. I'm indifferent on it. I don't care. But if you're gonna use it for like make the story interesting. Don't use it to just because it's there or it's some way to make your characters feel connected. Like I don't need fated mates to make my characters feel connected.
Yes.
You could do other things. In fact, I feel like it's super super lazy.
I was just about to say
to use it as a way to make your characters connected. I don't care that you use it. I don't care that it's a thing. But like in my opinion, it's a lazy way of writing.
Yeah, because and then especially in this book, like it was thrown into our face about how they're so spiritually connected, how everything's and like proving it to you that that's where their intimacy comes from. That's where their connection comes from. It's like I don't want that. I don't need that. Like Kristen said, it's lazy for you to put that there as for us to buy that they're intimate and they're fated and that they love each other.
And it's always unique. I don't know if you've noticed that. But like every time someone's fated make, this is rare. This never happens. And it's like, oh, come on.
This hasn't happened in 100 million years.
Yeah. Like even though there's 2 people that have been fated mates right in their vicinity. I'm like, oh, come on.
Yep.
That gets lazy and boring to me. But it's like, whatever. I don't care if you want to use it. Like I said, I'm indifferent to the whole thing. But it's like, if you're going to use it as a way to make me feel like the characters are connected, make it count.
Yeah. The one thing I will say, because I actually do hate when they use the bond to like talk to each other or communicate with each other. I don't really like that. They didn't do that here. It was more like
a feeling.
Yeah, like a feeling of a mood, but it was, or a feeling of getting closer. But it was never. They weren't truly communicate. They weren't using it as a means of communication to each other.
No.
So I did like that, I guess.
It was slight. It was just like, oh, I could feel that he's angry with what I said. I could sense him. Like, it was like that. It wasn't, like you said, it wasn't like actual talking.
Yeah, which I don't know why I don't like it, but I just don't like it. But we can move on to the Goodreads. Of course, this book is still super new, but somehow it has almost 2,000 ratings on Goodreads. But it got a 4.05. I have a sneaking suspicion that is going to go low, much lower.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to be bitches about it, but
no, because overall I enjoyed the book. I just felt like I was disappointed.
It's not a 4.
No. I grudgingly gave it a 3.5, but even if you look at my Goodreads, I still gave it a 3.
Oh, yeah.
I just gave it that extra point because, she attempted plot. And it wasn't a bad plot. It just was a rushed plot.
Yeah.
So, like, I liked the plot. I just felt like it needed to be spread out from the 3 books, and that's why I gave it that extra point. But yeah, 3. It was like, I think like how we were talking about in the last book. I think we flip flopped. You were like, Kristen gave it a more honest review. I think Crystal gave it a more honest review in this. I was just being kind about the book.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was upset. I hate it when I'm like so into a book, I'm so happy, and then you fuck me over, and I'm like, I'm angry. I find myself often angry, ranting about fucking books because I'm upset about the downturn of them. And I was telling Kristen earlier, as I was writing my notes, I was getting more and more upset and thinking this needs to be a 2. But I don't think that's fair. I think that's just me being angry. So.
I understand. I've done that to books too. I'm like, I don't think that was fair.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck you. Sorry. But like, no.
That's how I felt in the last book because I was so disappointed. It was like 200. Remember I told you I was like, I hate that fucking book. When honestly I gave it a 3. But I was like bitter and mad because of the way it was so short and it ended.
Yeah, it's funny because I kept waiting to hate the book. I'm like, she says she hates this book, but man, this banter is off the chart.
I was
How
bitter.
could she hate this?
It was bitter.
But you had to wait a whole year.
Yeah, it's like,
so.
I still gave it a 3 though. I was just like, fuck you, I'm bitter, but 3. I hate that book. 3.
That's so funny. So I pulled, because we're kind of in the middle, I pulled a 1-star review and I pulled a 5-star review. The first one is from Julia, and she's a 1-star review, and she said, I really did not enjoy this book. I was so excited for how it would end and have been let down. Lots of repetitive words and fluff. How many times do you need to say someone is mine? Also, lots of good story points that were thrown at you last minute, then underdeveloped. I love the author's other series. This ending was a big miss for me. Audrey gave it a 5, and she said, this book grabbed me by the collar and dragged me through every twist, betrayal, and heartbreak. I loved every second of it. The tension was unbearable in the best way. The romance had me borderline delirious, and the payoff was nothing short of perfection. By the end, I was emotionally wrecked, utterly obsessed, and already planning my reread. Thank you so much, Holly, for this arc.
I'm glad she enjoyed it that much.
I'm glad that you loved this book that much. I wish that I was in your shoes right now. I wish that I loved this book as much. I wish that I was borderline delirious with the romance of it all, but I was a little...
No, I didn't feel that way either. It was, like I said, it's fine. I wouldn't feel like, yeah, if you really need like this kind of like enemies to lovers, like this is the series for you. That wouldn't be one of my recommends.
I think I would still recommend this as a junk food, but I would let you know
serious,
that the final book is not like, it's not great.
Yeah.
Enjoy the first 2 while you're in them, but just read the last one just to get the conclusion of the story. But there's no more of anything good that you liked in the first 2, if you liked the first 2. I think Julia kind of knocks it right on the head. I also don't think that we mentioned this a lot, but it kept bothering me. I don't think we mentioned it at all, but it kept bothering me while I was reading it, but I also kept forgetting to mention it. The author repeats herself so much.
Oh, yeah.
It's annoying. It's one thing to repeat yourself and sort of rephrase something. I swear to God, she would say the exact same thing over and over.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about in the beginning. Like, she would say it, but she would say it differently. Because that's what I was saying about the magic system. When she would talk about it, it would drag on, and it's like, but you're just saying the same thing several times. You're just saying it differently. Yeah. So, like, I felt like I didn't understand what she was trying to get across. She just kept reiterating it. I'm like...
I felt like some of the things she said the exact same way. Like, she would talk about... I wouldn't... This is why I didn't bring it up, because I didn't have a great example. But she would talk about, in the first one, I remember she was saying, like, I'm a lost princess who ran away. And then 3 pages later, she literally said the exact same thing. I'm this lost princess that ran away, and I can't escape the city. Yeah. And there was a couple of times where I would like read and get distracted and I'm doing something else and look back and I'm like, didn't I just read this?
Yeah. But the vessel too. When they would describe the vessel. Yeah. Anything with the vessel was repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I saw a lot of people saying that, and I was also thinking that. Yeah. It was weird because because people do repeat things in books, but this felt just like way too cut and paste throughout the book. But yeah, anyways, so, you know, ultimately, womp womp is how I feel at the end of this. I had to search for my liked parts. I had to like go through with a fine-tooth comb, read my highlights, and be like, I did find some. I do have some.
I'm gonna be honest. I think the parts I put in here are mostly for notes that I can remember. But it's more of an overall thing mostly than versus like a pinpointed. I think there's a couple that I know I do like, but it's more like, oh, I like this overall thing that's been happening throughout the book. Mm-hmm. You know, that's.
Yeah, I picked a couple because I thankfully highlight and like will put my notes like damn or my like initial reactions to things. So I collected a couple, but I had to go back and read. It's not like they stuck out to me where I remember. There was only one scene that did stick out to me, but the rest I was like really digging through it. But anyway, so we can jump into our spoilers so that we can tackle them a little bit more. Also, I'm excited to talk about some things to discuss. I have questions.
I have a bunch of fucking things to discuss too.
Do you want to start with your favorite parts?
Yeah. Okay, so I have a couple. I like the part when Dacre told off his father in the council right before they went to go save Verena. They were like, they yelling and screaming. He was like, I'm going to get her. I'm going to take care of her. You're not going to stop me. I'm in love with her. She's my mate, blah, 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 blah. Mm-hmm. I like all that thing. I love how Dacre just doesn't give a fuck who he's got to like attack, demean, yell, scream at, just that he could beat the shit out of, just so he could, you know, be with his girl. Yeah. I love all that. He's willing to betray his whole rebellion. In my opinion, he's not betraying his rebellion. Yeah. Like, but whatever. They see it as that. I love his whole attitude about, you know, to get with his girl. I do enjoy the lore. I have to say this with an asterisk because I enjoy the lore of how the kingdoms have this magic system, and that the kingdoms use the magic from the people willingly to flourish in their lands, you know. And if it's manipulated in any sort of way, the magic becomes twisted and manipulated, and that's why the king is the way he is. I enjoy that backstory about how the king betrayed or lied to Verena's mom to be able to fall in love with him, to steal the kingdoms. I mean, I like all that story. I wish that was more of the story set from the beginning. I wish that was already known to Verena. I really hate, I mean, I'm sure she did know, but like, I wish that the mom would have came to her in a dream in the first book or something.
I felt like she didn't know any of that.
She didn't know anything. And it was like, why did she wait this? And then she had a book inside the fucking, this is more of things to discuss and things I like, but she had a book in her room that she had this whole time that she didn't know. Like, oh my God. But anyways, I like the idea that the magic is manipulated, the backstory of the mom, and like how she was manipulated by her king to get the magic, and then the grandfather was murdered by the king. All that stuff, all that revealing stuff was a really good plot and lore. It's just, why are we rushing it? You know, I actually feel bitter more because of that, because it was rushed, but I overall did enjoy it. So I was like, when I was reading, I was like, oh, I like this. I love fantasy lore and stuff like that. So like, as I was reading, I was like, oh, she's finally trying to get a plot. But then I was getting mad because it was so rushed.
And incomplete. Because it was rushed.
Yes, I was like so bitter about it.
And I'm sorry, just to jump on that. The revealing this all through like her mom.
Yeah.
Ghost in a dream.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
So fucking cheesy.
She should have found like a diary or something. Yeah. Like something that was like, even if her mom did come to her dream, all of the big reveals should not have been in a fucking dream. It should have been like bits and pieces or whatever. Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like. I like the lore. I hate the execution of it. I don't like that. So it takes away from it and makes me mad. But I like when Dacre, Ren, and Kai go to save Verena. That whole, like, Dacre was fucking, like, brutal when he, like, busted in there to go get her. And he didn't give a fuck. Like, he is not anywhere near close to the fucking king's magic. And he didn't give a shit. Yeah. He's, like, still trying to battle. Verena's, like, dying over here. And, like, he's like, I'm gonna fucking get her. I don't care. Oh, and then Ren and Kai are there, like, backing him up. I just love that whole thing. And then, like, how they got her out. Like, obviously, Ren and Kai have something going on. Because, like, even that tension is slight, but you can feel it the whole time. It's like, ah. But, yeah, I love that whole thing. His dagger is dripping blood. It's glistening in the air. And, like, his chest is even, like, when he busts in there, like, I can see it. Like, I was visioning how she wrote it. I was like, ooh, this man. I love a man who's going to do that. Ripping throats, taking names.
Yo, I literally wrote, when he busts in, because he explodes into the room. I was like, I fucking love an explosive entry.
Yes.
Because like that's great.
The Kool-Aid man. Bust through the wall.
It gave me Manacled vibes.
Oh my God. Like, I love every time that MMC does that shit.
Literally exploding into the room. Like, at the last, because she was even like, take her. Yeah, he just like exploded in there. He is to save the fucking day. It was great. I loved it.
It was like the power he had, and like their eyes locked, and like she couldn't contain herself anymore. Minute that like her power was unleashed because like her power is only like attached to him. So like her power unleashes because of it, and now there's this whole big ass battle. I don't understand the vessel part. That whole thing with the vessel was confusing the fucking shit out of me.
Yeah.
So, like, that took away... Every time I enjoyed something, something took it away from it. And that was one of the things, the vessel thing, but we'll talk about that. Micah was there. Like, that whole thing, Micah's piece of shit, like, that's in my hated parts. I'll get to that later. I guess I'm gonna skip over that part. I really didn't like that. I kind of just threw this in here. When Dacre's dad, okay, so Brenna goes into the council, like unannounced from eavesdropping. Do you remember that part?
That's one of my favorite parts.
And then like, okay, so of course she says whatever she says, but Dacre is like slowly approaching, and her and the rebel leader are having a back and forth. You know, Dacre's dad, and she's telling him practically like giving him the shit about how, oh, like, your wife died for this, and you're saying the prophecy is shit, but your wife was uttering those words to her dying breath, and you're gonna call them shit. Pretty much is what she's saying. I'm not quoting that. And then, of course, Dacre just, like, creeps up in there, puts his arms on her chair. She feels they don't have to even make eye contact. They just walk out. And, like, he's putting his, like, gripping, I could just see the white knuckles, gripping the back of her chair. He, like, leans over, tenderly kisses her shoulder, making that presence known, like, this is my girl, like, you assholes. And then she's just like, oh, they were just discussing my future and how I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
And, like, Dacre's fucking pissed. And so, like, Dacre's dad says something along the lines of, like, I would rather see your head on a spike than crown you queen. And Dacre goes fucking apeshit. Like, he just, like, goes and he takes his dad by the fucking throat jacket. I don't give a shit. And he just, like, puts him up against the wall and starts telling him, like, if you so much as fucking talk like that ever again, I'm gonna slit your fucking throat. I was like, slit his fucking throat.
I have the quote. He says, you are my father, but if you dare speak of my wife like that again, I will slit your throat and paint the city in your blood.
I fucking love it.
That whole part is one of my favorite parts.
Yes, it's brilliant. And then he tells everybody to fucking kneel as they're like trying to get, like, she's leaving. So it's like, everybody fucking kneel for your queen. She's leaving. And everybody kneels besides the dad. And dad's like, be careful, son. Like, this is my hidden city. I was like, ooh, I like the dad too.
Yeah, but nothing ever comes of that threat.
No.
But I did like that. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, I love their back and forth, the dad and the son. They are the same kind of guy.
They are the same kind of guy.
They are the same kind of guy. So, like, even though Dacre is the way he is, he definitely gets it from his dad. Like, you can tell. Yeah. Like, I'm fawning over both of them.
Yeah, me too. Like, damn. Let me see where the source is.
Yeah, exactly. No wonder why he was
the real daddy.
Yeah, that's Daddy Day.
That is
Grandpa Day. But yeah, so like she leaves, you know, they have this thing, and you know, he's back and forth with her about how, you know, the kingdom is the way they are, and he's like, I don't give a fuck, I will tear everybody down, I don't care if she have to betray my people for you, and loving it. Of course, the end, I really enjoy how Verna fucking kills her dad. Like,
yeah,
holy shit, I love that part. Like, she fucking stabs him. Well, she tells him she says to herself she's not gonna call on her magic to kill her dad. She's going to do it in a way that puts emphasis on how he was always calling her powerless. So she killed him, sticking a dagger in him, and then she twists it and she tells him, you always wanted a weapon and now you got one. As she's twisting the blade, I'm like, this brings me back to the gold, even though she used her powers to kiss him dead.
Yeah.
This time it was making a statement that she's not using her powers to prove that her powerless self, the powerless lost princess, is going to be the death of him.
Yep.
And I fucking love it.
That was beautiful.
Yeah. So that was one of my, you know, I think that was probably one of my favorite scenes out of the whole thing was her killing her dad. I love that emphasis on I'm gonna do it with a blade, and not my power. Overall thing I want to just point out, I enjoyed this spice, and it was specifically because, I mean, I enjoy it more so in the other two books, but I want to say the reason why I like this is because even though it was like more of an intimacy than it was sexual, it was like a sexual intimacy in my opinion. Like it was more of a emotional sexual intimacy. But he is like tortured by it.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it. There's a specific sentence that I think that would emphasize the whole fucking way he feels, because he's constantly being tortured by the idea that she's his, but like he always wants more. Like there's always, and it's not her power he wants, it's just her. He just always wants more of her. And that even when he's getting her, it's torturous. So like it cracks me up because this is like purely him. But it says, I think she's like on top of him or whatever, and she was like slowly like setting the pace, and it was like driving him crazy. He says her movements slow and devastating. Her body rolling against mine in a way that had my teeth grinding, my muscles coiling beneath her touch. She was killing me. I was like, he's like tortured because she's just like going really slow. But like, yeah, I love the whole thing. And even at the very end, this man was just like, I don't give a fuck if who's around, I'm gonna touch my girl. Like, the kingdom is behind her back waiting for her to make a speech. And this man is dropping to his fucking knees, rolling up her skirt. And then he says his famous fucking lines, because she was just like, what if I don't want this? And he's just like,
then I'd call you a liar.
Yeah, and she's like, well, I could bring in my guards. And he's like, you wouldn't dare. She's like, wouldn't I? And so she's like giving him that traitor smile. And then the ending, he says, I should have known that even as my queen, you'd still be my little traitor. And like, I love it. I mean,
it was great.
Yeah, that was a good ending. I have to give it that. Like, that's still Dacre to me. And it's like, even though the tension between them has kind of like slowed, the idea that he was still just like more and more and more and more. Yeah. And hot-headed for her.
And didn't give a shit about who saw, who knew.
He's like, just be quiet then. If you don't want no one to see, just be quiet. And she's
you
like,
better be quiet.
You expect me to be quiet? But yeah, no, those are my good parts.
Those are good ones. Let's see. We have a lot of the same parts, but I have like slightly different angles or specifics within those parts. Yeah. So yes, when he is at the council meeting and he is the first time before he goes to her, after he gets captured, he's coming back. He's like railing against everybody, and of course, this is the first one of the times that he's basically saying like, let me be clear, I will choose her over each and every one of you. Fucking, I just love this. Yeah. Like, this is what we want out of our MMCs, who is like, fuck, you see every one of you? Fuck you all. Like, I'm gonna go get my girl. And then Aaron, in the same sort of instance, he basically says to him, like, choosing her, you have now become the enemy. And he just laughs in his face and he says, and you'll regret it. I am not an enemy you want, but for her I'll become whatever I have to be. And I love his just like cockiness. Like, he just laughing like, yeah, okay, well then make me your enemy. You don't want me as your enemy. It will not work out well for you. And I just, like, that's just exactly the Dacre that I love. And then there's another part. Oh, okay. So yeah, in this same instance, because his dad is there again, he's like arguing with the entire council. His dad is there, and he says a great thing to his dad. He says, "Are you so willing to sacrifice Verena for the cause that you're unwilling to save her for it?" And I love that, because that was literally the epitome of what the problem was. Yeah, is that his dad was so willing to be the exact thing that he was trying to fight against, despite anything else, just because she was the heir. And I love that he totally called him on it, and he didn't really have a response to that. He just sort of shrugged it off like it wasn't that big of a deal. It's like, yo, that's the whole point. You're literally accusing her of her father's crimes without even giving her an opportunity to make any difference.
He didn't give a shit.
He didn't give a shit. And that was the problem. Yo.
Yeah, no, he didn't give two fucking shits.
So I love that. All that part was great. This is a small part, but I was obsessed with this too, because I just love Ren. I want a book of Ren and Kai. Please. I hope that's the next thing that's coming out. But when Day and crew lead the rebels to the tunnels, the moment the tunnel opens, Ren has got one of the dudes, Torin, with like a blade to his neck immediately. Like, okay, the tunnels are open, now what are we gonna do? Like, waiting for them to basically follow through with what they promised, which was that they were gonna go back to the thing. But she was like not taking any chances.
No, she's like, fuck this guy, I don't trust you. You're gonna still make sure that you do what we're supposed to be. Like, you're not gonna threaten us. Like, she didn't give a fuck. Yeah, she's like, I'm on it.
And she was on it. That's why I liked her. Like, there was no hesitation. And she also did this a lot with their dad. Mm-hmm. I think after the council meeting, after they had initially grabbed that's not her name, is not Ren. What's her name? Verena. When they grabbed Verena, Ren came in right after and was like, bitching and yelling up in her dad's face too. Like, she was right there with Day the entire time, like at his side, just as tough, just as bitchy. I love her, and that was just a great incident of it. Let's see. We talked about the explosion. Okay, so you did talk about when she went into the
eavesdropping council.
Eavesdropping cave. Yeah. This is my favorite part
There's
of this entire
so
book.
much to talk about. I kind of tried to narrow it down as much as I possibly could, but it's great.
It's great, and this is the one and only time, aside from her like killing him, but that just killing her dad, but that just seems kind of like you knew it was gonna happen. Mm-hmm. I was taken back by this part. Because she had not acted this way at all. This is kind of why I have a love-hate relationship with her. Because if this was the girl who was leading these books, I would have been way more into her. But it felt like a random off moment where she was like, oh, I just proved my power. And I just was, I don't know. She was on some other pep in her step. Yeah. And she walked in on this council meeting. She walks in, grabs the chair, slides in, just sits at this fucking council.
Right next to the dad.
Right next to the king and looks him right in the eye. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. She knew. She heard
him. I fucking love that. And then, of course, they go back and forth. They have the conversation about, like, the rebellion's never going to follow her and or all of that. And the fact that we go from her POV on this and then we get Dacre's POV, that he comes around and he's like, well, that's my mate. I love that he didn't chime in. He didn't do anything but, like, stand behind her, kiss her on the shoulder, and just stand there and, like, watch her go back and forth with the dad. But she says the best thing here. The dad basically says that that no one in this rebellion will follow her or bow to her. And she leans forward, inches from his face, and says, your son already bows for me. I died.
It's so hot.
It was so hot. I was like, dude.
It's so hot.
He does, though.
I wish she would have winked at him, too. Just to, like, emphasize what he vows for.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Your son already vows for me, sir. Like, I don't know what you think is going on, but I got that man on his knees already.
And Dacre's just like, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, we heard that through his POV, and he's like, she's gonna drive these men mad. And that's when the dad, like, freaks out and they have their own thing. But yeah, that was just great. And you already said the ending was really good. I don't have anything else to add to that other than, like, my check on that, because everything was great from the beginning. He's still being his same, like, sly self, as we already talked about, and then the end line was just perfect. It was the best line to end this book on. It was perfect. I'm glad we ended also on his POV and his epilogue, kind of talking about, we summed up kind of what happened at the end, like how she's focused on rebuilding. So it was nice to hear a little bit of what happened after the great, war. There really was no war.
Yeah.
The great killing of the king.
Taking back the kingdom.
Yeah, so that was all nice, but yeah, small parts, but really that main one. But again, I felt like such a random other character was in her skin and just, like, pulled all this off. I'm like, where was this girl? Where's this girl been? She's a badass. Let me have this girl. That's some shit Ren would do.
I know.
Not Verena. Verena's like a scared cat in the corner the entire time. You know what I mean? Like, just like,
and like let Dacre
sometimes.
Let Dacre do everything pretty much. What he was.
And now here she is sauntering up to the fucking king and his men, like, talk about his son bows and shit. Like, come on, I don't know.
I like that. I
liked it too. I just want more.
I just wish that like you said, I wish it was more. But I wish she would have winked at him. I really want. But that is not her character.
That's not her character.
She wouldn't have done that.
That's why it's weird that she even did it in the first, because this does not seem like something she would have done anyways. But I liked it. Like, I was like, the whole time I was like a fly on the wall, like, yeah. And then Dacre's POV. Oh my god.
Yeah, when Dacre's POV popped in, I was like, fucking thank God, it's getting good now.
Yeah.
I love his POV. His POV is just fucking.
Yeah, his POV is great.
I do have to agree with you though. Like, him having his POV at the epilogue was the best idea she could have done for that book, because that last sentence.
I mean, because let's be real, like, we're all here for him anyway. Yeah. I'm not here for her. No. I'm not here for the plot. I'm literally here for him.
If we were here for the plot, we would have stopped at book 1.
Yeah.
But we knew we were what we were in for. Like, no, I didn't. No.
Yeah.
Disappointed.
I don't have any hated parts, though. Nothing that I hated. I had a lot to discuss. Yeah, I have some questions.
Like, I don't know if your questions match my questions, but one of them was the fucking vessel shit.
Yeah,
okay.
That was weird.
I put in here. This is my notes. I get how it used the magic of people who willingly gave it to the kingdom, but I didn't understand how the rise and the downfall of the kingdom was attached to the king or queen. Why did they give power? Because the power came from their people. So why was the king and queen chosen to be the vessel magic? Did they give more to the vessel than any other participant in the kingdom? And if that's the case, like, how were they able to give more? I didn't see them give more or less.
Yeah.
Because the queens in the previous kingdom were hiding their power. So how? What? That makes no sense. So like, what do they have, like a deeper connection with the vessel? Is that why they're able to get more manipulated and or more twisted and evil because of it?
Maybe because they were chosen to be like the guardian of the vessel.
But how were they chosen to be the guardian? Like, none of that.
I have no idea.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like,
the same
I'm
questions.
like, the vessel was just like, I'm supposed to believe it. I don't understand. I'm like, I don't quite get how they're so connected to the vessel more than anybody else just because they're royals. Like,
yeah.
Why not talk about their bloodline? Maybe their bloodline, they came from this specific set of people who were guardians. I don't know. I just feel like there's more to a lore there than
because then it doesn't make any sense either when it starts to like choose her. Like, we
yeah,
have no idea why because she's the daughter of these two. But it's like, what does that even mean that she's the daughter of these two kingdoms?
You're making the bloodline so important, yet you're not discussing why that is.
Yes.
And I'm so confused because now I'm just supposed to accept that their bloodline. What makes their bloodline so special? And because of that, Dacre's bloodline was special enough to make that, because that even was mentioned that his mom was a special. Why was his mom special? Because his mom wasn't royal. She just came from there, but so did Micah.
Yeah.
So did Ren. Why?
But then they did say that Micah's sister's blood was important.
Yeah, but they never explained why. None of the bloodlines are supposed to be important, but why? Yes. And then when she pulled the power from the kingdom, she was pulling power from everybody that was from that area.
Yes.
And that's how she was able to get the vessel magic from her previous kingdom. So none of that made sense to me why she was able. I know she was a siphon, but specifically, is that the only reason? But then it explained that why that was the only reason. Because,
and then does that mean that the kings and queens from other lands were also siphons, and that's why they were able to?
Yeah, but then why wouldn't her mom be able to? Because her mom didn't. They kept just using the tides. So it was like, seemed like she had water magic. Like, I was so confused.
Yes.
Didn't it? Because like when she was on the boat, the water was moving.
Yes.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Same.
We also talked in our last episode about mothers being important and the wives, and so it came back in this book a tad bit, and it was explaining how the women were important, that they hid their magic, that they sacrificed for their children in their kingdom, and Brenna says it in that council too. Yeah. So like she talks about the women being important, and so it's like, okay, so it came to that. It did kind of like brush up on that, but still like
it was still cheesy. I didn't like that her mom had been the one that was trying to save her, and because it was just another one of those reveals that was just falling lackluster because of what this was like the fourth reveal, because this is when Aaron reveals it.
Yeah, Aaron.
That she was actually trying to save her after we learned that his dad is the one who killed her. Reed killed his mom. Yeah. I didn't like it. I mean, I do see that she is trying to paint this, that like women are the sacrificial ones to save the kingdom, and they were where the power truly lied.
And now she is like regaining that strength from all the women previous who sacrificed themselves for her, and now she's coming to be the strong one and save the kingdom.
There's no foundation for this. No! There's no foundation here to rest this on. You're literally just building this up with fucking sand underneath it.
Yeah, it was like it was. There was nothing to hold any of that up. No. And so like just reading, I was just like, I don't quite get why this is now. I just brought it up because like we were talking about last episode, and now it's kind of mentioned in here why that is. All the moms died, so it's just like still that just didn't make me feel good about this situation. I felt ugh. And then Aaron's betrayal, which we kind of bring up a lot all the time. It's like he wants to like say everything. And he's not in like a quiet room with just them. He's saying this in front of the whole ass rebellion. I'm like, it was dude, weird. Now?
Yeah. Like you had ample time to say this, to bring it to Dacre. Yeah. Because they were supposed to be friends.
Yeah, they were. And I think they stopped being friends right around that time.
Yes. And you didn't think at any point from then until now to say that you needed to have a say in front of the end. Half the rebellion.
Which is crazy because, okay, he was no longer friends with Dacre, but he was good friends with Ren. So I feel like he had feelings for Ren, which obviously kind of shows because he saves him. He kills himself, or like he sacrifices himself for her to save her. So I don't know if he sees her more as a sister or a love interest. I was kind of confused on that. I want to say he saw her more as a sister.
That's what I thought.
And he saw Verena as a love interest until he found out who she was, because he said he couldn't remember who she was until like it was too late. So I'm guessing in the forest is when he found out who she was. But he was like he was crushing on her hard.
Yes.
Before that, so. But yeah, like it was too much for me. Like Aaron's betrayal was too much, as in like too much of a reveal. Like I feel like that could have been.
That was unnecessary. I just think
it was funny. It was in front of everybody. Like, dude, come on.
Yeah.
Also, I have to say, the king is a sick, twisted bastard.
Yeah, he is.
Her dad, Brenda's dad, like, he said some nasty ass fucking quote.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
Are you talking today?
Yeah, he's like, he says, I hope the scars aren't too much for you, that I haven't ruined her beyond your desire. I was like, why would her own dad? I mean, her dad's fucking nasty anyways.
Why would you even say that? Why do you care?
Why do you? Yeah.
You don't care. Why are we even talking about this?
That's so fucking gross.
It is gross.
I was sick to my stomach. I was like, this dude's a piece of twisted shit. And then he goes and comments about his daughter's body.
I hope my daughter's still fuckable for you.
Yeah, like.
Yeah. Why? You could have said anything else. You could have been an asshole in any other way, but you had to make it like
sexual, creepy to her own fucking husband. Oh my god, you fucking nasty prick, man. Ugh. Yeah, so those are my weird things to discuss.
Okay, I don't really understand the Micah thing. When we first see...
Oh yeah, I forget the Micah thing.
When we first see him in the fucking dungeon, he says... he says that he's here for her, to save her. And I was like, he's gonna break her out? And then like the next, because then it goes to Dacre, and then it goes back to her. The next time we see her, she's like, I'm choking on my betrayal from him. I was like, I've been highlighting in my thing. I was like, what? Because she saw him in a uniform, and I was like, well, yeah, how was he supposed to get down?
Yeah, to pretend
to get you. I was like, I don't understand. I don't know why you're choking on your betrayal. What betrayal?
I know to say that. I was like, did we miss a part? I think she's all mad at him for doing what he did to save his sister. I'm not mad at him. I would have been mad at him. I'd be like, I completely understand. I'm not with you. You're not my husband.
Yes.
You're not in a relationship with me. I completely understand.
And I was like, they were giving him such a hard time. And I'm like, guys, I mean, I know, like, at the end of it, I know that he stood by while she was being abused. That sucks.
Yeah, that really sucks. But, like,
when you learn why, and you're like,
I get it. And he still, at the end, chose to save Verena over his sister.
And I do, I do think that, I do still think, and I do feel it, that he was trying to save her. I don't think he was going to leave her in the dungeon. No. I think he was biding his time. He didn't know what the fuck to do. No. He's like, I got to get my sister out. I'm stuck here. I got to get her out now. Like,
they tortured him too.
Yes.
He said that. Like, this guy's got no power. What do you expect him to do? She's got more power than he does, and she could have saved her. What do you want him to do? Why is all the blame solely on this poor guy?
And then
who is set up to be for it? Like,
yes, and then you get that reveal, and then I get, but then she's betrayed by that, and I'm like, I mean, I get it, but you also lied to him about who you were, and he, like, you guys were playing the same thing, and like, eventually she comes around to that, and eventually she's like, we were, we played the cards we were dealt, and we each did stuff, and I'm like, okay, but you guys were assholes to him, like, the entire time, until the very end of the book, where you're like, okay, I'll grant you can go to the village that's torn and nobody cares about it anymore, and you can bring it back to life. But I was thoroughly confused. I wasn't buying the hate for Micah as much as she was trying to sell it to me.
Wasn't and you know what? I've read a lot of fantasy books, and a lot of the fantasy books I have read where the girl gets captured and there's a friend with her. Specifically, it was a Sarah J. Maas book that does that, where there's somebody captured and there's somebody that they're friends with is watching this happen. not once did I ever see where they put the blame on the other person being a bystander to the torture, because they knew that they were just as like stuck there and tortured as well. Like he was being tortured too. Yes. Like he couldn't do anything. He didn't enjoy it. It was not like he was participating in it. It was just like there's nothing he could do. And yeah, it sucks for him. But like in any other book I have seen, no one gives shit to that person. Yeah. In this book, they're all like hating on him, and like I can understand you could be like, hey dude, like you could have done something, like, but like to take it solely on him, like he's responsible for it. No, it's a little harsh.
And it's like they were treating him like he took the oath to serve the king, and he kept saying, I didn't. I'm being forced to do this. Yeah. I'm a prisoner.
I have no choice. I'm also a victim.
Yes.
Like, he's got my sister treating her like a whore. Like,
yes.
If he wants to save her, like, how can you blame this guy? Like,
and he even says that, like, if it was Ren, would you not have done the same thing?
Oh, Dacre got pissed. Yeah. Dacre's like, you can't make me choose between myself. I mean, think about it though, Ren. Dacre, what would you have done?
Yeah. If it wasn't Verena, say it was just some girl who you like kind of had a crush on at one point. Like, are you gonna choose her over your sister?
Fuck
like,
no, he wouldn't.
No. So I thought I was a little confused about the full on hate about that. I feel indifferent about the reveal of him having been the one to save her in the beginning, like his connection to the family. It was just another one of those reveals where I was like, okay.
You know, I kind of figured that he had some kind of connection anyways, because in I don't know what book it was, but when Dacre took Verena to his grandmother and she was like, oh, that kid's still looking for him. Like, oh, she knows. Yeah. Yeah. She probably, like that was not like a reveal to me. But at the same time, it was a reveal because it's supposed to be. Yeah. But I'm just like, oh. Okay.
Yeah, you knew the grandmother knew something about her. Yeah. About it.
I was like, okay. Great. I mean, and she even wrote the note saying, hey, the princess, which got Dacre to kick her out in the first place. Grandma knew. Like, that's not a fucking big surprise. She just...
Yeah, I don't know. It set up for a reveal. It became a reveal, but it was sort of lackluster in my opinion. Nothing I want to discuss / didn't quite like. I don't like the marriage. I like, it's great and it's sweet and it's romantic, but man, it was a lot for no reason. Like, I didn't need them to get married. They could have just snapped a bond into place and called it good.
I thought they already did.
I did too, and then they slept after. It's like, now is it official bond because they're married?
This happened 3 times, married? By the way.
Yes.
3 times I heard a bond get snapped into place. Yes. The second time, the first time in the second book, the second time when they fucked. Yes. After the bond, like
when they say the vows.
They say the vows, and then the second time was when they fucked after he saved her.
Oh yes.
The magic bond connected again. And then and then when they got married, I'm like, well, how many times does this bond need to be official? Yeah. Is there gonna be now like a holy death bond? What are we doing?
Yeah, I didn't like it. And it was a lot of time wasted talking about getting married, going to the marriage ceremony, talking about what it meant. And like, I didn't need any of this. Just snap the bond into place, have the glowy thing appear, and we're good to go.
And there was like another reveal where the grandma was with her mom there at one point in time. I was just like,
yes. What? And the grandma also was a fated mate who lost her mate. So she knows how to perform the ritual.
Only she could.
How coincidental.
She got to guide the bond. Like, I thought the bond was already guided.
Yeah.
Like, how much more?
This was a lot of time where we could have been doing other stuff with the plot that we were wasted on this. They didn't need to get married. Save it for the end. I don't know.
Well, they needed that special glowy thing.
Yo, when the bond snapped in place, the glowy tattoo appears. That's how you write it. They don't need to get married for that.
I agree too. That's why I'm like, so did all the other 2 times didn't count?
So yeah, what was snapping into place?
Was it like a preliminary bond and then like a testing bond?
Yeah, first you have to see, does it match? Okay, it matches. Okay, the next one is, it kind of snaps to make sure it'll secure.
It's quite there, yeah. We gotta tape it, gotta glue it together.
Well, at last. Okay, when they get married, then we fucking glue that shit and snap it together. Now it's never breaking. I don't know. I didn't like it. I thought it was really cheesy.
Yeah, they were like, do you understand what you're about to do? Like, because the grandma was just like, comes out of nowhere. Do you guys know what you guys are about to do? Do you guys understand the gravity of the situation? It's like, no, they don't, grandma. They're just wanting to go out and have a good time. Like,
yeah,
obviously, they do know. Like,
and it's like, why are we asking? Like, if they're fated mates, what is the next step then? Like, that's the next step. I don't like. Do you get any more deeper than fated mates? bonded. I mean, I don't know why the marriage ceremony had to be.
The marriage ceremony counts, Crystal.
Apparently it fucking counts. I don't know. I thought Fated Mates was supposed to negate all that bullshit.
I thought once you fuck that was the end of it. Like, how can you get more intimate than fucking?
That's how it's supposed to be, isn't that how Fated Mates go? You decide you find out your fated mates, then you're like ravished with lust for the other, and you have to fuck until the bond comes together.
No, because according to ACOTAR, you got to give soup.
That's so fucking stupid. That's so stupid.
I still hate that.
I do hate that.
Serving food to your guy to accept the fucking bond?
What kind of fucking patriarchal shit is that?
I hated it. I hated it so much. And canned soup?
Yeah.
I know, that's a whole other book.
Marry me. Here's what I know how to cook. Heat soup up in a can.
Oh, I mean, I like his whole, like, now we're getting to ACOTAR. I mean, I like his whole, like, confession. I love that part. Yeah. But I hate the soup part so much. So much. I don't. Campbell's chicken noodle soup.
Love me for eternity. This is what you'll be eating.
Who said fucking matters? There's a soup. Like, you get some subpar bullshit fucking shitty soup over fucking to get your bond in place. And then, okay, there's a whole, I'm getting on ACOTAR. Let's just drop that one. Because I'm like, Cassie didn't do that. Cassie didn't eat soup. Let's just say, I like Reese, but like, Cassie didn't need soup, okay?
No, Cassie did not need soup.
He ain't need that.
No. He had his fill of something else.
He had that headboard grab.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did.
Anyways, I digress.
But yeah, I was going to... It's funny that you brought up ACOTAR because I was going to bring up Plated Prisoner. Because the aftermath of them, like, their bond snapping into place and the ravaging, which is normally how it goes. There's the ravaging afterwards.
I hated that.
I wanted the ravaging. Instead, I got fucking romantic marriage. I wanted book 2 spice. God damn it. I wanted cave scene.
Agreed.
I got marriage.
I
an intimate lovemaking afterward.
It was really boring.
I was so not interested. I felt awkward, actually.
It was really boring.
It was.
I was like, oh, they're going to do it again.
How do we go from, like, fucking masturbate in front of me, and then I'm going to pour wine and lick it off of you to...
That's a good part. I forgot about that.
That's what I'm talking about.
This book made me forget all those things.
No, that's still in my head.
No, I meant, like, it made me forget that he was the same guy.
Oh, yeah.
I was
that's
reading
what I'm
this,
saying.
I was like, this is the same guy who fingered the girl in the cave saying, go ahead, call for him?
Yo, that fucking licked it off and walked off.
Like... Guess marriage does make sex kind of shit. I don't know, I was nervous.
Yeah, it taped him real quick.
Yeah, it does. It makes the spice boring.
I don't know why it did. Apparently, yeah. Maybe it's that enemy's to lovers. Like, you can never get it back.
Well, it looks like I learned some things. I'm probably just always gonna make the guys my enemy.
Yes, and when they start to get too cozy, talk about marriage, talk about bonds. Like, no, throw them away.
I already agree. I do not like that stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I am opposed to that now.
Me too. After reading this, I'm done with this.
Yeah, this made me rethink marriage.
He might as well have laid the bed with fucking roses and played romantic music in the back.
I'm fine with that as long as you hard.
Yeah, you know,
like, do all the spicy shit.
Yeah,
say the nasty shit. Like, he was.
That's what he was doing.
He was not. He was lacking that.
He was lacking that because he was managing to do that all last 2 books.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just can't get over it. Okay, the last one that I have,
I agree,
is okay. I need clarification on this because I read this when I first. So I read it. Okay, yeah. And I said, did she just say that? And then I kept going on with my life because I was gonna stop. But then I went back because I highlighted. I read it again. I read the beginning and I read the end and I read it all together as one whole. And I'm just confused. Did the fucking site person give us a pregnancy reveal?
I don't fucking know. Okay. That site bitch was like off in a different world.
I'm gonna read it to you.
Okay.
Okay. This is. I'm gonna read. It's a little like paragraph. I'm gonna read it to you, and I need you to explain it to me. She says, "Decree's magic stirred, wild and furious, and it raced through every inch of me. The sight tilted her head, her lips parting just slightly, as though she were listening, not to me, but in something inside of me. Her white eyes flicked down, landing on the golden mark on my wrist. It burned under her gaze before she murmured, 'You carry more than his mark.' And then she said, her words radiated through my wrist and my breath caught. What? She exhaled slowly. 'The vessel you seek is not the one that calls your name, blah, 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 blah.' Okay. What does that mean?
I just thought his magic was in her.
See, but like, that's what I thought.
I was like, oh, and maybe his.
But like, if you see that she has the bond, then I feel like she knew that the bond, that's what the bond is them like carrying each other's magic or that connection of their magic together. But like, I don't know. I was like, did you just tell me she was pregnant? You carry more than his mark?
If that's the case, then nothing was mentioned after that.
No. I guess not. I guess in my head, but I was literally like, what? We're doing this right here? Because this is right at the end. Right when the fighting is happening. She's talking to the seer right before this.
But see, like, it should have been mentioned in the epilogue where he, like, leans over and kisses her belly or something.
I felt like he was constantly touching her stomach. Like, he was kissing her stomach
he
later
was like, right next to her belly button. He always did that.
All the time.
But even before she was pregnant, though.
Yeah, but maybe he knew. Maybe it happened book 1.
No.
Maybe it happened book 2. I don't know. That caught me off guard.
Maybe. I mean, they're married, they're together, they're bound to have a kid.
Well, I wish you would tell me on the epilogue, but I guess they probably would have, so it's probably not. But just so you know, if you're reading this and you got the same thought that I did, Kristen says no.
I say no because I think that sight bitch was just all over the fucking place.
She was. I don't even know what her purpose was.
No.
Because she was wrong. She said, I saw you bow 1,000 times or whatever.
Maybe she meant to him. Maybe she meant to Dacre.
That he bowed?
She bowed to. She's like, I see it 1,000 times and you bow. I was like, well, maybe you realize she's not bowing to a certain guy. She's bowing to her husband.
Oh. I don't know. Anyways, I thought she was useless. She literally did nothing.
Yeah, and then like right at the end, she was telling the dad, she's like, I told you this could have happened or some shit. I'm like, wait, you did not say that.
Because you just said.
Yeah, 1,000 times.
She's gonna bow to you at the end. I've seen it.
Yeah, I'm just like, that sight bitch didn't know what she was talking about. She was like the shitty medium you got on a talk show that's talking about the kids and family members that passed away or whatever. She's a shit medium.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Agreed. But anyways, so I guess unless you have more.
No, I'm pretty much done. This book disappointed me, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if it disappointed you, disappointed me. I still enjoyed it, only to get that conclusion, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to read it if you want to know anything about this series, because it's all in this last book.
Yeah.
So, if you have any questions, hopefully they're half-heartedly answered in this one. But yeah, thankfully this is over. I did enjoy the first 2, so thank you for that, Kristen, because I needed this pick-me-up from all of the crap that we've been reading thus far. I mean, it's mostly been crap.
It's mostly been crap. Agreed. It's mostly been crap. But the first 2 books, the first book was my favorite. Second book was disappointing for me only because it was 280 pages.
Yeah.
And this book was disappointing because it was 488 pages of plot that was rushed.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
With sexual intimacy.
Yeah. Which would have been okay if we would have had a little bit of other.
I just feel like if he put like something more into it, because like obviously like I was saying, he was like tortured of his need for her, and I felt like it could have been shown more instead of just said more.
Yeah.
Because it was described that way, but it wasn't shown that way.
Yeah.
I wish.
I get he was being gentle. Like he made his point in the first 2 books, and like I get.
Yeah, but he could have thrown her on the map.
He could have done a lot.
Done some crazy shit. That was another book I read. Somebody did that in another book I read. Somebody like threw their girl on the. I don't remember what book. Oh, I know what book that was. That was Blood and Steel. He like threw this girl on the fucking map in their war room, and everybody heard it. I was like, oh yeah,
yeah. He definitely could have done that.
That was Blood and Steel. That was a good one.
I still like him though. He's still in like the running. He's to be considered for the
book 1, book 2,
season 3s. Yeah. Even I'm not gonna lie. Even though he was a little bit more romantic in the bedroom, I still liked his attitude overall because he was very much like, fuck everybody. Blow this fucking place to pieces. I don't give a shit.
I like 2 scenes of him. That's practically it from this book.
Yeah. Well, all right. There you go. Overall, disappointment series wide, but the first 2 are good. Yeah. Good junk food. If you're in the need for just some good, just nonsense, just read for 1 and 2. Don't even bother reading. Just come watch our show. Yeah. And then you'll know what happened, and then you can move on with your life. But yeah, so that's it for this one. I'm excited about our next read, though.
Yes, I am too. It's called The Heartless Hunter by... Oh, I forget her name.
Good luck.
Oh, Kristen... Circarelli? I don't know. I'm not good. But she's got the same first name as I do, so Kristen.
Yeah, this is supposed to be another one of those really good ones.
Yes.
Has a lot of good reviews a lot of high ratings on Goodreads. So I'm excited. But so yeah, we'll see you next episode for The Heartless Sender.
Bye.